Come, hold my hand. Let's go on an adventure. Hey, Momatic Adventure fans. I'm so excited for you to hear from today's guest. His name is Chris Smith. He is the producer and host of a podcast called Podtastic Audio. It's a podcast that I listened to when I was just starting out, and he truly taught me so many great tips. We discussed some of those in this episode. He is also on a podcast called The Chris and Christine Show with his now wife. We also talk about what that was like, becoming a podcaster, learning how to use all these different tools while being a single father and navigating the world of parenting, jobs, and then eventually blending families with his current wife. So we really discuss the memorable family vacations. We talk about places like Yosemite and Disney World, Hawaii, New York City. We talk about first class flights and sunset cruises and even some solo trips that he took on his own. So it's really just such a great episode. I am so honored to have him here. And so I'm just really excited for you guys to come on this adventure with us. So welcome, Chris. And here we go.
Hello, I think.
Hi. Yeah.
How you doing?
I don't know how people function with more than one child.
Yeah, well, that's something just happened. Something they break something in the house.
Yep, lamp just fell.
Was it a child thing or a pet thing?
No, it was neither. The window's open, and I guess it decided to blow over the lamp.
Fantastic. So, is it windy where you're at?
It's a little windy today. I'm in Philadelphia for actually just a few more days, and we're just high up. We're on like the 15th floor, and I had the windows open because it's beautiful out. It's like such a nice fall, first day of fall
Yeah,
day.
definitely.
Yeah. Where are you guys?
San Diego, California.
So similar weather, I'm thinking.
No, it's still summer here. Well, I mean, it was warm this weekend, so this morning was a little foggy this morning, but that's
Foggy.
well. Thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate this. This is so amazing.
I was going to say thank you for being here. So, Chris, you have been in podcasting for how long? Because it seems like forever.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's forever, but I first started listening to podcasts back in 2009, and I always thought it was kind of cool. Like, I want to do that, like I've always wanted to be in radio. I had a radio station in college years ago, and I just never did it. I had nothing to talk about. I didn't know how to. The tech gear alone like overwhelmed me. Like, I wouldn't know what microphone, what setup, all this stuff.
100%.
So I think in 2019 is when I first made my very first actual physical recording on a podcast.
And what's it like now? How has your life changed from 2019 to today, just in a podcasting stance?
Well, I think I've changed gear a lot. I think going into it, I wanted to make sure that I just want to make sure it happened. I want to be able to actually record something and put it on like digital format of some kind and be able to distribute it. Like, that was so exciting for me, being able to just like record audio into a computer. I'd never done that before.
Literally same. I'm exactly where you were in 2019. Even just having you here right now, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so exciting.
Well,
it feels surreal.
Well, thank you. Everything feels surreal. Just me being able to even talking to a microphone feels surreal. Back in 2019, the way I kind of got started was that my son had an Xbox. He was like 10 or something at the time. And he had an Xbox and he wanted me to order him one of those like headset things you can like talk to your friends thing or whatever. Yeah. I ordered him one on Amazon, some cheap, like $15 one, and it comes in the mail and I get the package for it. I'm like opening it up, I'm looking at it, and there's like an adapter to connect it to your computer, not USB, but like just like a phone jack kind of thing. And I'm like, because I plug it in my old computer, which I had, it was like a 9-year-old computer at the time. I still have it. I don't use it. So I plug it in there and I'm like looking on the computer how to record audio. And I'm like pushing record. I'm recording myself and just playing the thing, random stuff. And I'm recording it. And I'm like, wait a second. I wonder if I could make a podcast with this like thing, like this gear or whatever. And so yeah, so I start playing around with it. So I start Googling like what kind of software to use to record and how do you record audio and all this just basic stuff, all for like free because I don't want to spend any money on this stuff, you know?
Yep.
So then I found Audacity, which I still use today to record with. And then I was asking my girlfriend at the time if she wanted to do a podcast with me, not knowing how to physically like make it happen. Like, how do we make two audio sources go into a computer? How do I mix it? How do I do all that? And
No
so
idea.
and so what I did was I ordered two real cheap microphones on Amazon. Basically, I went on Amazon and I went to like, that price point thing they have where it's like under whatever price. I went on the
Yep.
cheapest one I could find, the cheapest price point I could find, USB microphones. It would plug into a computer, USB. And I found two cheap microphones. They were, I think, $20 a piece. Ordered two of them. I plugged in the computer and I was playing around trying to figure out how to like with both microphones, like test, 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 like going back and forth to see if both of them got recorded at the same time. Like, I think I got these things working. Now, it wasn't the most smoothest job on the market, but I got both microphones to get recorded into a single track. Folks, don't do this, but I got recorded on a single track in Audacity. And I was like, well, if I can get both microphones recorded together in a single file, I can take that file and I can play around with it in Audacity, edit it, maybe move some music around. That's the thing. First thing I figured out how to move music around and move things around and cut and chop and do things like that. So like, that's kind of cool. Maybe I can do a podcast. And then like the very first episode I recorded, I'm like, okay, take the MP3 file and I went to go drop it off into iTunes on my computer and just drop it off because I just assumed that's how you did it because I only listened to podcasts on Apple. And then so it says you need an RSS feed. I'm like, a what? A media host? A what? What are they talking about? Because I just assumed it was just like YouTube. Because
Yeah.
I've done YouTube for a long time too, just for fun and stuff like that. But I was so used to how YouTube does it, where you take your video file and you take it right to YouTube and you just drop it off.
There you
And
go.
right, boom. And I just assumed podcasting was the same way because I only listened to podcasts on Apple. So I didn't know there's other podcast apps. I had no idea. So I'm like, what? So then I'm like Googling, like, how do you do that? And I knew another radio station DJ that did a podcast and she was hosting somewhere. And I kind of regret following her lead, but I just said, well, she's using that platform. I'll use it too. So that's what I used, that other platform. It's not very good, but so we started hosting there. Did the first episode. It was kind of, nerve wrack. I was very nervous. Oh my gosh, I was so nervous on the microphone. I could not say much of any other words. Christine held like the conversation going. And when we recorded, I was using headphones to listen back through the computer. But the problem was that when it runs through the computer, especially an old computer like that, there's a latency delay. When you say something, it's like a delay back to your ears. It almost sounds like an echo kind of sound that throws you off. So when you're talking, you kind of start to like slow down your speech pattern to match what you're hearing in your ears, but so it makes you sound kind of weird. And we were doing that for a while, but we recorded the first episode and we sent it out. We sent the link out from our media host. I don't think you were an Apple yet. It might have been a Google Play Store or something like that point. We put the episode out and some of our coworkers some of my coworkers listened. They liked, you guys are good. You guys are so great. And I'm like, really? You think that was great? I think it was that great, but that's
Yeah. You're your biggest critic. I remember beating myself up about my first episode. And even now, looking back, I listen to it and I think, oh, you sound so nuts, little girl.
well,
And that
not
was
just that.
4 months ago.
Well, that's fairly recent. Well, there's been so much in evolution and equipment and tools and the microphone. It looks like you're using the Samsung Q2U microphone. Is that what you're using?
Sure am.
Personal favorite of mine. I have two of those, and that's the ones we upgraded to because we went from the cheapy $20 ones to those, and it like changed everything.
And I was lucky enough that I ordered like 5 different microphones. I did like
Wow.
2 Yetis for podcasting. And then I
Yeah.
tried like $100 or like $150 one that I bought at a like Best Buy.
Right.
Just because I was like, I made this decision. I got to start trying. I got to start getting my hands in there and like testing. And I tested all these microphones. And this one I think was like $67. And
Right.
it
Yeah.
just, it sounded so crisp, so much better. It came with enough stuff, especially compared to the Yetis. I was so disappointed in some of them that were like, this is for podcasting.
Well, it is and it isn't. The problem with the Yeti microphone is that nobody knows how to use it correctly. That thing's got like, Well, first off, it's a condenser microphone, which is very, very sensitive. You need to be in a completely sound treated room, and nobody's got that, so for it to really work correctly. And then also, you have to make sure that you have it on the right setting. There's a setting where like the microphone picks up all the way around it. Right. So you got the guy over there being picked up really clear, but you want your voice being picked up. You want the thing
Yeah.
just coming out of your mouth that be picked up. And also on the third thing is that people talking to the tip of it, but you don't talking to the tip of it, you're talking to the side of it. So it's not like it's the inner microphone.
There was 100%. It was definitely a learning curve, and I was so like new. So I'm not bashing Yeti at all. This was such a great device,
And
really.
I
Yeah.
recommend those because you not only can you use it plugging it USB direct to the computer, so you can plug it into a console like this Rodecaster Pro or any kind of thing that's via XLR. That microphone can do multiple things. It's portable. It's easy to use. It's light. I can go on and on about the Samsung GTU, and it's on $100. Like sometimes
Yeah.
it's $50, sometimes it's $60.
Yeah, I got it for like $67 with a coupon or something. And it comes with the stand, it comes with
Perfect.
the bat, like the all the cords. I mean, really, it was such a good bang for your buck.
Yeah, I bought that microphone for my clients to use so they can use it for their show. 'Cause they were recording with literally operator headsets that the phone operators would use and stuff. And I'm like, come on, guys, I said, you know what?
It's
I'm gonna buy you this. I'm ship it to your work, ship it to your place. And then the audio went from like a 2 to a 10 overnight.
I'm so grateful that I took those like first. That was my first like big decision was before I put out anything, I wanted like 6 weeks or so of testing, trying, editing, playing with having a few episodes ready so that I
Right.
wasn't rushing. But it like picking this one and doing that was such a game changer. And for the people who don't have the time to do that, I like that you're out there saying it's a good one. I'm out here saying it's a good one. Like if you're thinking
Oh,
of podcasting,
100%. 100%. It's easy. They're cheap. They're easy to use. I can't recommend it enough. I mean, if you want to get more advanced, you can go a little more advanced further down the line. But for starting out, I think it's a fantastic microphone.
100%. And we went because now when I was doing solo shows in the beginning, I instead started including my husband because I need a back and forth. Me alone
Right.
is a little uncomfortable.
It is. It is. I mean, I did the first solo episode I ever did. And oh my gosh, I felt like I was just steamrolling through it fast as I could. Like all the material, just rolling through it, all of it. And someone said, like, I think you went through all of your stuff in the first episode.
Yeah.
I got more to talk about, but it's like I just covered so much from like what a podcast is to microphone. I think I covered like microphones, headphones, everything in one episode.
Episode.
Yeah, because I was just running through it. And honest to God, though, I feel more comfortable doing solo episodes now than I do like, I don't know, interviews or something, which is kind of weird because I've done a lot of both. I've done co-hosted shows, same room people, and I've done co-hosted with interviews. I've done solo interviews. I've done solo shows now. The thing about the solo episodes that I always like is that I can chop stuff out on the fly and edit on the fly, which you can't really do with like a Zoom recording or a guest thing. You can say, hang on a second. Well, you said we're going to chop that out. I'm going to start again, start that line again. You can't really do that, but you can do it to yourself because it's just you.
Uh, yes. Literally, I taught my husband to snap when he wants to restart like a
Oh, really?
sentence.
Oh,
I'm
really?
like, yeah, yeah. So what's that? No, is that Pavlov like conditioning or whatever, where it's like so at any time I'm like, you need to restart that sentence, like you have to snap into the microphone or I'm not going to be able to edit this and it's going to take me like 6 years.
Well, another tip on that is what you can do is just pause for like 10 seconds and you'll see like the little break in the wave files. And then you can just go in that break and know that's a spot you got to edit out. And that's what I've told guests. When I have a guest on, I say, hey, listen, this is not live. It's not going out anywhere. So if you make a mistake, just pause, give yourself 5 to 10 seconds or whatever, and then restart that sentence again. And I'll know where to edit that spot out.
I love that, except for the fact that I feel like there's so many pauses in my sentences already that
Well,
for
that's why you give it
me,
like 10 seconds because nobody waits 10 seconds to say anything because that's a long time. 10 seconds actually feels like an eternity when you're just like waiting for someone to say something. So we've done that and that seemed to work out pretty well.
okay.
So,
I love
but
that. Good trick.
yeah, it is a good little trip for editing, especially when somebody wants to retard, especially for like a guest who may be super nervous on your show and they're just like, oh my gosh, I fumbled through. I didn't mean to say that, but what I wanted to say is this and something else. And you say, well, just relax. We're going to pause right here. Okay. Now take off or whatever, what you're going to say. And that way it helps them calm them down too.
I love that. I really like that's such a great tip because I've had that happen and I don't know how to do it. So I just like wacky waving inflatable,
Right,
what
right. Well,
like make a fool of myself for the person to relax. So I usually start my shows by asking a person who they are and like what their connection to kids is.
okay.
So I'm gonna say like, who are you? Because
My name is Chris, by the way,
yeah,
and I'm no longer an alcoholic. So keep that out there. I have got two kids. I was a single father for many years. Got married back in the day. I think I got married in a time in my life where I thought I had everything going right for me. Because before that, things weren't going so right for me, like struggling to keep a job and apartments and bounce around from this to that. And so I was at a point where I had a job where I thought I made enough money to buy my own one bedroom condo, which were very, very expensive at the time because the housing market here is expensive. But I bought a one bedroom condo and then I had a decent paying job. I thought I was king of the world, I bought my new truck. I had a truck that was like brand new because I never had anything new before. A brand new truck, brand new
it
condo.
sounds like you're on top of the world.
I had a decent paying job. And for the first time ever, I made it. It's a job that I made the most amount of money I ever made up to that point. And so I was on the dating prowl, like whatever. And I met a girl. We hooked it up and got going pretty quickly, I guess. She moved in pretty quickly and all that. And we got married fairly quickly. Like think about it. Then we had a kid. And the funny thing is, right after we had our no, right after we got married, I think it was, I got fired from my job, which is crazy. It was a very horrible experience. I got let go. It was during a time when, if you remember 2009, 2008, the economy whole deal.
Yep.
And so companies were very, very quickly to fire people. I mean, they don't want to lay people off, but if you did anything wrong, like anything wrong at all, they're like, peace out. We're out of here. You're out of here.
And especially compared to pre 2020, anything wrong could have been like, I'm sick. I need to take a few days off, or like, I had a family emergency. Like there was so much. I worked in like banking, retail banking, and corporate banking for a number of years, and the atmosphere is rigid, and there's just no ability for the leniency I feel like that we have now. And maybe not
Yeah.
leniency, but understanding and empathy from companies that are like, we can't kill ourselves for you guys anymore, but you used to really have to kill yourself for a company.
Right. Right. But honest to God, I was screwing up back then too. I was making a lot of mistakes and then I was making a lot of mistakes, but then I was also at a point where because I thought I was king of the world, that I was almost invincible. I thought I'd make the mistakes. What are they going to do? They're not going to fire me. Not going to, get rid of me, whatever. But then the economy started taking a dive and people started getting laid off. Big companies were laying people off and people were getting fired. And it seemed like it was like funny. Everybody in my condominium complex that moved in when I moved in were just dropping like flies. They were just losing their place. And I was one of the two that were like the last two standing at the very end before I went into foreclosure. But during that time, I got married and then we had a kid. Right after that, I think I got let go and then I picked up another job. It didn't work out. But during that process of getting a job, my wife at the time was super excited. I don't know if it's a woman thing or what, but she was super excited to have a kid. As soon as I had a new job and potentially a higher paying job, it was like, maybe it's a nesting thing or something.
Yeah.
And,
Family time.
and she's like, let's have a baby. Let's have a baby. I want a baby. Let's have a baby. Okay. So I thought that things were going up at one point in my life. It's kind of life kind of does this like highs and lows. You think you're going up, you're going down, going up. And we got married. Obviously, we had the kid, we had a baby, and then I got let go from that. While she was pregnant, got let go from that company. And so that kind of sucked. Then I picked up another job, which was the same industry, but it was much like half the pay. So during that time, I was basically just writing out my mortgage, just not paying the mortgage and just writing it out. Cause I knew they're going to kick us out eventually, but I knew we had like about a year for that to happen with the foreclosure. So if I was writing out that year foreclosure to like, and then what happened was eventually when we did have to leave, We had to find an apartment, which was rough. And because they look at your credit, he's like, we haven't paid your mortgage in like a year. So like,
Yeah. Why would we give you an apartment?
right. So then they're like, I had to pay a bunch of money. I had to borrow money from my sister for the down payment, for the deposit and all that on the apartment. Got in there. And we ended up losing that place because we had a dog. We had the newborn baby and a dog. And the dog, I guess we were supposed to put a deposit down on the dog. And my wife she only like shined him like, yeah, we'll put like half the deposit down. I'll pay you later. And she never paid him later. She wasn't very good at that kind of stuff when it came to like keeping promises, as you'll find out later. And so we lost that place, but then we found another apartment and we're working there. I was working, keeping the apartment. It was a little struggle, but then I was looking for another job and I found the place I'm at now, which was a big increase in pay, big major company. Like, I think it was like, was it, it was maybe over double the pay overnight, pretty much. And so I'm like, I think we're on something. And just like before, when you get a new job, she want to have another baby. It's a nesting thing. I don't know. So the same thing, same pattern happened again to where we had another child. And then we rented a house at that point. We had to rent a house and get newer cars and things like that. But through the first year of my second son's birth, she started going out. And I don't know if I was working more or she was working more. I don't know what happened, but that's when the divorce started. And then she started cheating and seeing other people behind my back. And that was a very, very hard time. And here I am, like in the morning, I go to work nights and then I could wake up at like, 10 in the morning or whatever. And she would just take off because she had to go to work or do something. And I'd have the kids all day until either I took them to my mom's house. I think I'd take them to my mom's house and she'd watch them until she got off work. That was kind of the pattern or whatever. But then a lot of nights she wasn't staying. She would be gone and she'd say, I'm staying at my friend's house or I'm staying over at so-and-so's house. And I think it's kind of a lot of patterns like that. And then, which really frustrated me because I got a baby in diapers. I'm taking care of the bottles, all the stuff.
Yeah. And then working.
Yeah, working, 12-hour shifts at night and then having to take care of the baby all day and the 2-year-old all day and then having to deal with that and then having to deal with her, and then of course when I found out about that, I was a train wreck when I found out. This is just such a disaster.
Yeah, that I can't imagine having your life partner.
A lot of things. It was mistrust. It was me having to handle the kids by myself as a single dad, having me thrown into this and then having the person who's supposed to be your backup just like, say screw you.
Yeah,
And
tap out.
yeah, and then she was, and it really pissed me off. I saw her pictures with her with her new guy that she was cheating on with the kids hanging out at the beach and them hanging out at the park and them hanging out together. Yeah, you're telling me. And
Wow.
it was devastating. And yeah, so that's when the divorce happened. And so during that time after the divorce, we did the shared custody thing. It was like, it still is, it's 50-50. But the way we do it is because our days off, it was like I have 3 days off. So I would have my days and she have her days, and the in between day would be like the switch day or whatever. So that's how we were doing it. And we still do it today like this now. But it was hard, taking care of the kids. And I think when they are in school, I didn't always have weekends off, but I have like middle of the week off. So I have to take my oldest son to kindergarten, and then my youngest son, him and I would do something until we go pick up Jacob from school, and it was doing all that kind of fun stuff. And I would go to Disneyland a lot with the kids and get passes for them to do that. And
So all of this happened in California?
Oh yeah,
You were living in California the whole time?
I haven't moved. I've lived here lived my whole life.
Wow. I can't imagine, just because it's such an expensive place to be going through all of that and not think, oh, let me, like, that's a big part of why me and my family are traveling the US is we're looking for somewhere that's attainable. We grew up outside New York City, and the prices of the cost of living is just astronomical. And we're sort of looking for a place that feels like home that we can also afford.
Well, if you move center of the country, prices are like half the price for things.
Yeah.
Like I looking at like houses, and I've always loved real estate and that kind of stuff. So I'm always curious to find out what these places are worth. Like you can buy like a mansion for like 300 grand in some place of Texas, but that same, size house is like $2-3 million here or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's something to think about if you're really considering that kind of stuff. But
yeah, we're on our way to Ohio next to see what.
Yeah, you'll find something cheap there. You'll find
what
something
Ohio's got. Yeah, we'll see.
But I was paying her child support too, on top of that, on top of paying everything else too. And I think during that time I want a clean slate from her. So I had to split everything down the middle. We had to figure out, divide what the value of everything was. She took stuff, and I couldn't believe there's some things she took I couldn't believe. Like, we had a master bed, and we have this, it was an older mattress, but the top of the mattress was like this real good, like, memory foam,
Yeah, yeah.
it was like real thick stuff. And I get home from working one night, I come home, I go to sleep, after tired working all night, and then I wake up all like, gosh, I'm like, oh, sorry, I feel like the worst sleep ever. What happened? And I'm like, this doesn't feel comfortable. What's wrong with this bed? She took the foam.
What?
She took the memory foam with her when she left.
That feels so petty. Can I tell you something really dramatic?
Yeah.
I have a friend who is currently going through a separation with their partner, and he just mailed a glitter bomb to her house. And so
Oh,
she
oh,
opened it, and like
oh,
glitter exploded everywhere. And then there were just
gosh,
pictures of them in the box. And I was like,
gosh.
wow,
But they're
that's
like,
so.
was it like cheating pictures and things like that?
No, no, it was literally just pictures of them happy and in love.
Oh gosh.
I don't
Well,
think there was any cheating in that separation. I think their time sort of just came to an end.
but usually what happens, I find when that does start happening, is that
Yeah.
somebody seems to be leaning on somebody else. Even if they're not cheating, they start to lean on somebody else's, like, moral support, advice. And that, if it's a girl finding moral support in another dude, and the dude's like, oh, come over here. Come over here. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, he did what? Oh, I'm so sorry. Come over here.
Oh,
Yeah.
bummer, bummer.
Yeah. So I
Maybe.
can say I can see what happens a lot for both sides. And I think
Yeah.
that, yeah, I mean, cheating, I mean, I've been cheated on and a couple times, and and it's not cool. But having kids and having little kids and having to take care of them is a challenge. And I mean, one time I had to call 911 because in the houses during the time we got divorced, and I had the house, and I was putting in locks, or child locks. I was putting in doorknob, no, not the doorknobs, the doorknobs that had the house had, we were renting from. For some reason, there was like locking door, like the door with the key, like locking, like you twist the thing, it locks, whatever. But we didn't have keys for any of the rooms. So my 2-year-old thought it was fun to lock the doors and lock them and that kind of stuff. I had to break into it. Like, he locked him and the baby in the master bedroom,
Oh my God.
and I could not get to him. And I had to
I
climb.
my heart is racing
And
thinking
he thought
of
it was
this
hilarious.
story.
He thought it was hilarious. So I had to break in through the bathroom window, or some window, I think it was, in the house, just to climb through and get in there, or something like that. Or lock the front door. He locked some door. I forget what it was. I don't know. But that's why I decided to go and change all of the doorknobs to, like, just basic generic, doorknobs. And so while I was doing that, I was using an electric drill driver, and my son, for some reason, I don't want the front doors open, and the front door kind of like led to like to the street. Like, the street was right there, and like kind of a front yard area, and like kind of a sidewalk, but then the street was like right there. And he was crawling towards the front door. I don't know why it was open. He was crawling the front door, and I went to go chase him, and I guess I tripped or something. The drill like flung around the floor and got wedged in between the door jamb and the point from the tip for the actual like drill bit, like jammed into my side of my ankle. And like I started bleeding. It punctured me. I started gushing blood. And here I'm crawling over to catch the baby from rolling out the
Catch the
door.
baby.
Yeah. And then I had to call 911, and my whole ankle was covered in blood. The paramedics came and everything. I went to the ER, but I don't think I got stitches, or maybe a shot for
Tinnitus or
yeah,
something, or
something like that.
tetanus.
Yeah.
Tinnitus is in your ears.
But I felt helpless. I'm watching both the kids, and I'm in this moment where something happens where I'm in danger, not the kids. I'm the ones in problem. They're not old enough to use phones. They're not old enough to, like, really, do much. That was kind of a frightening moment as a parent, because you felt not only helpless, you feel like you're trying to protect your kid from something else happening, and something happens to you in the process. It sucks. What can I?
Yeah. So how long did you and are you still single fathering? Like,
No, no, I have been married since I've been married, and married again to Christine. The podcast, the Christine show, we started together before we got married, and then we got married during the podcast.
I
So
love that.
yeah, yeah, we got married, and she has a older son, so we blended two families together. But he doesn't stay with us; he stays up north. But he's out of high school now. But yeah, we're married, and we took my, so before Christine and I met, I went through another stage in life where, speaking of like expensive real estate, I
I'm nervous.
well, after I was in the house, renting the house, but the owners wanted to sell it. And they asked me if I wanted to buy it. They knew the place needed so much work. It needed so much plumbing work. It was an older house. It needed a lot of work. And I'm like, I'm kind of lazy. So I'm thinking maybe I can just buy it from them and just take over payments or whatever and just take it from them kind of thing. But so I was trying to talk to the real estate agent about that. But I'm like, I don't know this place. If I'm qualified for this amount, I'm going to shop around a little bit because this place is kind of a dump. And I don't want to like put all my money into this place. So they qualified me for a certain amount and which was kind of low for San Diego. And I couldn't find anything I like or anything I wanted. So I ended up just getting an apartment because they had to move me out. So I went and moved into a nice apartment into a nice area. So I was there for a little while. And during there, I think I paid off my pickup truck. I got my first bonus at work. So I used the money to pay off my pickup truck. So I had no real debt, really. Credit cards are paid off at the time, no real debt at all. And I was there at the apartment, enjoying the apartment life. It was a nice apartment. And I get a note on the door from the apartment complex. We all got the same note saying we're raising the rent by, I think it was like $200 or $300. And I was like, "You're out of your effing minds! I'm not doing." I was so pissed. I was like,
Yeah.
but it fell in line with the market pricing of all the apartments in the area. And so I was like shopping around and different that. And my neighbors were saying, we're just going to have to eat it, I guess. And I'm like, well, screw this. Because for that price, I feel like I could just buy a condo or buy a house. I feel like I can buy something. So,
Yeah.
so then I started like shopping around. I started going on lots of real estate stuff. And I got hooked up with an agent. I hooked up with a realtor and hooked up with a loan officer. And I started looking around and shopping around. And then for that last half of that year, I was going around looking at places to buy houses, not so many condos, we got a couple condos, mostly houses because you have more buying power with a house. I thought it's kind of crazy. I can buy a house. Yeah, it's harder to buy a condo. And the reason why is because I was using FHA. If you're familiar with FHA loans, the way they work is that you're only required to put down 3.5% down on the property, and your credit score only has to be a minimum of like 580 or something like that. So it's like
Mm.
a good program to get into, but there's always a catch. There's always a catch with everything. The catch with when you use an FHA loan to buy a condominium, the condominium property has to be FHA approved and they have to apply for it. And like 90% of the people in the condominium complex or 80%, there's a percentage can't be renters. They have to be owners. And they have to be on top of their HOA due. There's like so many ands on top of it to buy a condo, which basically made the pool of condominiums down to like one property or two properties in the whole city. It was like and everybody was fighting for that. That's like the minimum price point. So they said, well, if we can boost your price point a little bit higher, we can get you into a house. You don't have to worry about that stuff. Okay, great. So that's why I started shopping for houses. And I found one that I liked because the reason why I liked it is because it was a horrible house, but the reason why I liked it is because they came back with a counter offer in my price range and things like that. So I was like, hey, we can make this happen. We make this work. And turns out by the grace of God, it was actually zoned incorrectly. So it kicked itself out of escrow. I was already in escrow to buy the place, but it got kicked out because it was like business complex, apartments in the back. It was an older house where they kind of built around it, kind of a deal. And it was a cute little house, what it looked like, but it was zoned for commercial, not for residential. Because of that, the escrow company kicked it out of escrow. So I'm only qualified to buy a residential property, not a commercial property. So back to the drawing board all over again. I was kind of like, so it's funny because I already gave my notice at my apartment complex. I already told
Oh
them
my goodness.
I'm leaving. And I said, great. And they said, okay, we have a new renter coming right in after you. But I came back to them. I said, sorry, guys, but the house fell to escrow. Can I extend it another month? Please? Because like I have nowhere else at this point, So they were cool. They extended another month. They were big enough complex where I think that they could probably have maybe put
Move
that
that person.
into a different unit or something like that. Maybe. I don't know how they did it, but they were like, well, we already have somebody coming in. I'm like, I don't know what to do, but they did move me from a lease rate to a month-to-month rate, which was much, much higher. Whatever I got to do, because I'm like this close to getting a house, so close. I looked around, I found a few places. Like every night after work, I go touring like 5 houses. But the thing is, a lot of the houses start to blur together. And I would say, like, I like this one, put an offer here, and I was throwing all these offers out, all these different houses. My dad was saying, stop it. What if they come back? You have to honor those offers. I said, Dad, they're not going to come back. They're not going to come back so quickly. A counter offer, and then they're going to say this is our counter offer and all blah blah blah. And then you kind of play ball from there. So I found a house. It was a much newer house, much updated house, much bigger house, And I was like, this is amazing. And it turns out the couple that had it was going through a divorce. So they just had to sell it. They just had to get rid of it. I had a good deal on that. So I worked that into the deal and I got in to where they paid 10,000 or so towards my closing costs. Plus it was fully furnished with like, I mean, fully furnished, had a brand new washing dryer, brand new refrigerator, brand new stove, brand new updated kitchen, updated flooring, it had bamboo wood flooring throughout the place, two-story two-car garage, and it was close to the main town where I was living in. And so I'm like, this is great. I can afford this. Great. So I got that house. Everything worked out, moved in. It was the most exciting moment in my life. Getting the keys to my own place, my own house that I bought by myself as a single dad in San Diego County, very first house. I was like, this is incredible. I felt like such king of the world.
Yeah.
And I know, but it was very expensive and it was very tight. Like I knew all my budget to the penny. Like I couldn't spend any extra on anything. So, which I really didn't. And then I was there for a while, and that was our last house. But then I started dating again, and stuff. And then I met Christine, and she was really excited. What drew her to me was that I was a single father, taking care of kids all my own, and being like a provider, and buying a house in San Diego County all by myself, being able to pull off all this stuff really kind of drew her to me, and the excitement of all that. And I felt very proud to be in that situation. And so we got together, and a little while she moved in and we got engaged. And but during that time was when we started the podcast, and doing that was really fun. I felt like king of the world. And we were there through COVID and all that stuff. And she was working from home one day, and our house was kind of like not in the greatest neighborhood. There's some homeless kind of like not that far from there and stuff. But some random guy comes up to the house one day, and he comes up near the house. Christine sees him from her window because she works in the office, and she sees him, and she's like, "Hey, Chris, there's some stranger guy like snooping around, kind of hanging out, like looking around, kind of weird at the house and stuff." And go see what's up. So I go outside. What's up, dude? What's going on? And she's like, "Hey, is Christine here?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, how do you know Christine? Oh, she gave me a ride. She gave me a ride one day, the other day. She gave me a ride back here. She told me to meet her here, and something like that. And I'm like, hang on a second. I go upstairs. Hey, hon, did you know this guy? No, I don't know that guy. I don't know who he is. He says that you gave him a ride. I didn't give nobody a ride. What are we talking about? And then she was like freaking out because
Yeah.
knows
How does he know her name?
right. All we still to this day we don't know. We don't know. We think trash cans. We
Okay.
think trash cans. We think like mail and stuff in the trash cans. That's what we think. We don't know for sure. But he seemed like totally sketchy, like homeless or something or whatever. We don't know what's going on. So I thought maybe it was casing the house, and maybe he was like gonna break in or something. Maybe and like his go-to response was like if he got confronted, he knew that he remembered the name that was on the mail. Maybe might have been Christine or something. I don't know. I really don't know.
Hmm.
So, but see, her name wasn't on the mortgage. Mine was because it was my house. So that's the thing. I couldn't figure that out. But she might have got mail there. I don't know. So she's like, that same day, that same day, she's like, we are moving out. We are moving out of this place. We are moving right now. I said, okay. This was like early 2021, like right after kind of COVID still going on. But so she goes on the computer, starts looking for places, and she immediately found a place, called the real estate agent, called the mortgage company, like all within that hour. She is
I'm
very
not gonna lie. I'm really on Christine's side though. If some guy was outside and was like, "Hey, Effie," I would be like, we're getting out of here right now." Like
right.
that's so scary.
It was very scary. So she said we didn't find a place. We didn't move out of here. And funny, prior to that happening, we were kind of like looking at houses, but nothing was serious. It's like looking like we drive through a neighborhood. Oh, that house looks cute. Or maybe you go on Zillow and you kind of look around. Oh, that looks kind of cute. This kind of place and that kind of thing. And we still hadn't figured out like our budget and try to figure out how we haven't done any seriousness about it yet. But Christine's very detailed when it comes to like documents and all that kind of stuff. So she literally had like all of our documents all together within that hour and sent it over to the real estate company to give us pre-approved for a property like that same day. So we got pre-approved. She found, it's funny, she found this house we're in right now was the very first house that she looked up and she saw, and she said, I like this house. I want to check it out. It's kind of at a price point. I'm going to call their agent. I'm going to find, and she got all the documents together, and literally we were good to go, approved on this house like right away. But it's still, of course, the house is still for sale. The sellers are trying to, get, offers and things like that. And so, but we still had my house. So we're trying to figure out, we got to figure out what my house is worth, because all the money from that has to go into this for the down payment. So we, so we had to have our agent, the agent we were working with that took us over here, came back to our house and kind of gave us some tips on how to like make the place look presentable for sale. And so, okay, we gotta do this, gotta do that, do this, that. So what we did was we had to move all the clutter. Like everybody's got clutter in their house, they got clutter everywhere, but clutter and stuff, move it all into the garage. So they basically took the cars out of the garage, put everything in the garage. It was like, and then we made the place look so good for with landscaping, a few potted plants in the front of the house, a few cute things, and make it look really good. And for the Photoshop and photoing and all that stuff, and have it detailed and cleaned out. And so we put on the market. We were getting a ton of offers and a ton of people looking at the house. And we didn't even do an open house. We just like put it out there, and we had private showings, and tons of people were checking it out.
Wow.
So we had, so I knew selling the place wouldn't be a problem. So when we were working on a deal for the other place, it was basically the deal on this house was contingent on us selling the other house. So that's kind of because the money from that house had to go into this house, and that's kind of how it works. So, but luckily, the same company, the same real estate company, was working both deals. They couldn't have the same agent work both deals. There's some ethical thing about that. So they had to have same. I guess it was the same, yeah, same company but different agent, something goofy like that. The way they explained it. So, but because they had it all figured out, so I think we had a 2 or 3 day window between moving out and moving in, or something goofy. Or maybe it was a week or something like that. But we made it happen, and we put the money. We got this place. We moved in here, and we've been here since October of 21.
So coming on 3 years.
Yeah. So here, yeah, I've been in this place for 3 years or 4 years. No, 4 years.
You said 21, isn't it?
21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, you're right. 3 years. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, right. I'm thinking 21. Yeah. So 3 years we've been here, and it's great. It's much bigger. It's much nicer. It's a little further away, but it's a little more excluded from the hustle and bustle of the city. And it's great. We love it here. We live in the very back of a cul-de-sac, in the very back of the community, on like a hill. So we have like a view and stuff and all that. So
Ooh.
yeah.
So how has that been for your kids?
Oh, they love it. They have their own rooms here, and now, because the other house, they had to share a room with bunk beds, kind of a deal, But
Mhm.
this house here, they have their own bedrooms, and the nice thing is that their bedrooms have a Jack and Jill bathroom in the middle. So they have, what I'm saying? So they have their own. So like, yeah. So
That's like, when I was a kid, that's like prime real estate for kids to have the like shared bathroom.
right, their doors go into the bathroom together. Each kid has their own bathroom door, access to the door, but they also usually go back and forth to each other's room a lot. So they're always in each other's room. Like last night, they're playing Xbox and all kinds of video games in the older kid's room, Jacob's room, and they're playing, that kind of stuff. So they're always kind of hanging out in each other's room a lot and that sort of thing. Hanging out in Jacob's room a lot, I noticed, even though the rooms are exactly the same size, but Jacob's got like more of the, I don't know what kind of bed it is he has, but it's like the pull-out bed, I think you call it. It's like a bed, but it's like a couch bed kind of thing. It's
Like a futon or whatever.
not a futon, but it's like up against the wall, but it's got a back to it where you can lay back like you're on a couch. But
I like that.
But the bottom part pulls out and becomes a second bed. So they both will sleep in there sometimes together, or sleepovers and things like that. And he's got the computer set up, and he's got the Xbox set up, and he's got the cool stuff. And they like to play. They're playing games and hanging out in there.
Sounds like you got cool kids.
Yeah, so they got all that stuff, and so they like that. And then we have this room here I'm in now is our guest bedroom, and Ezekiel's bedroom when he's in town. Christine's son, when he comes in and visits, this couch behind me becomes a futon, and it becomes in full on, I think, queen size or full size, I forget. So we have guest company. They stay in here, and this is like the podcast office. But when I have guests coming out here, I take the laptop out and I hook up like a USB microphone like you're using, and I do something outside of the office. That's what I do when I'm out of here. But when I'm in here, it's all fun. So
Yeah, that's so awesome. I feel like going from, oh my goodness, where you were back into the 2009 or whatever, going through that divorce, going through all of that, and then ending up here like full blown, like I know we talk about the ups and downs of life, but you're like at an up in life, and that's really awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I love podcasting so much. I always love radio because I think my job, I'm a driver. Is my day job is I'm actually a gasoline transportation driver. I deliver gas to the gas stations. I've been doing it for a long time. And the company I'm at now, I got hired in 2010. And well, they've changed company names by, they've changed
Yeah, a
like,
thousand times. Yeah.
well, same place, same crew, but different uniforms, I guess. If that makes sense. So, but I've been here for a long time, and you can make really really good money. And when Christina and I were dating, I was working a lot of overtime because I'm on a 4-day work week, but a fifth day is overtime and a 6-day is overtime. And so I would work a lot of fifth days, which doesn't sound too bad because most people work 5-day work weeks. Okay, whatever. But then when Christine and I got together, we got married. I'm thinking like, what do we need? We don't, like with our combined income, we don't need to be doing this. So I decided to go back to 4 days a week working, and that way I could have time with the kids and spend more time with the kids and that sort of stuff, and be available for picking kids up at school and taking them to school. Like right before I came on today, I just got back from the school, just taking the kids to school and that sort of stuff. So, and then
Really hands on.
what do you mean?
Just like hands on parenting. I feel like there are other parents who are just like, oh, yeah, I don't do any of that. And I
Oh,
think,
like a nanny or something?
I don't even think a nanny, just like that's a different parent's role, gender
Well,
roles.
I take it. Don't. I'm not going to school for PTA meetings. I'm doing that. But I'm saying like,
Yeah.
but I do drop them off, and my ex-wife's really she is very involved when it comes to kids schooling and comes with like kids like always has to be. She's almost like a helicopter parent, I guess, a lot. She's always calling them over at the house here though. She's always calling them and that kind of stuff and everything. And it gets kind of annoying after a while because she's like, make sure you do this, make sure Jacob does this, make sure the kids do this. I said, okay, I got it. Chris, you need on top of that. Mason didn't brush his teeth this morning. Okay. Okay, whatever. He didn't wash his clothes. Okay, fine. Like today, did Mason wash his PA clothes? I don't know. Did he? Well, Chris, you gotta be on top of that. He's 12. Yeah, but you gotta remind him. I said, okay. I told Jacob, the older one, I said, Jacob, when you do laundry, make sure that you throw Mason's and yours together in the laundry. Because like literally, like I know you're always doing your laundry and stuff, and Mason's kind of, I mean, he's got a few disabilities and stuff, so he's not quite. He always has to be reminded of stuff when he does stuff, which is, I guess I'm the same way too. Um, but yeah, so I take him to school and then pick him up, and we hang out on the weekends here, and I mean they're into football now. My oldest son is now, he loves football, and so he's doing football at the freshman level at high school. It's his first year in high school, so he's doing freshman high school football, and he's on the second squad, or we call it and so he's not first team, first squad, whatever. But and my other son loves baseball, and he's in little league, but he's kind of already aged out of little league now. He's already done a little league. 12 is when I think you're too old for that now because I think a cap's 12 for little league. So, but he loves playing baseball in little league and fun stuff like that, and he wants to play in high school. He loves sports, so he tried soccer. He's done. So he wants to do football. Now there's brothers in football. He's like, I want to do football too. Well, what do you want to do, Mason? What position do you want to do? He doesn't know yet, but I think he wants to follow what his brother does. They're always together. They're always. I remember when they were little, when Mason was in a crib, Jacob would climb into the crib and like lay with him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah,
That's so cute.
I caught them together in there. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And
They
things.
just want to be together. They're
And
like you said they're like 2 years apart.
yeah,
I feel like that's really close in age. Like me and my brothers and sister were all 3 years apart. And I
Oh,
feel like because of that, we're able to have a pretty solid connection because we're like close enough but far enough. But I could easily see if my sister and I were younger, or like closer in age, we would be much, much, much closer.
and they always
And we're
went.
already really close.
Well, they also went everyone together. Don't forget, they went to my house together, went to her house
Yeah.
together, parents' house together. They're pretty much always together except for school now because now they go to different schools. But Mason's Mr. Popular. My gosh, he's so popular. Like that's what I heard. I heard from my niece. My mom picks up my niece from school. They go to the same school together, and they were talking about Mason or something, and they say, "Oh my gosh, I think we're talking Mason and Jacob because this is when they're going back to going to school together at the other school. And they say, "Oh my gosh, they're so popular. They're the most popular kids in school." They have so many friends. They're always hanging out and and all that stuff. So, um,
I love that.
yeah, it is.
So they're into sports, they're into school. Where do you guys go if you get like vacation on the summer or you've
That's a good
got
question. Yeah, because since Christine and I got together, every year since we were married, I think even that same year we got married, which was 2020, which is crazy. We took a
same.
look at you.
When did you get what day?
It was November 20th.
Oh,
Yeah,
10/10/2020.
look at that, close enough.
Yeah.
And well, we were going to get married in Hawaii. That was the plan. We were planning to get married in Hawaii. We had paid for the venue. We paid for all the catering. We had everything paid, but COVID, because we got married,
Oops.
COVID, and they kept pushing things. They said you couldn't come in and all the regulations, and then the quarantine thing and regulations, and kept pushing it back. And then eventually, I don't remember if we got all of our money back, from catering and from pictures and things. It may give us credits and things like that. I don't even remember, but we just decided to have it here. We found a venue here because of COVID. Some venues we can only do an outdoor venue. A lot of people were canceling their weddings because of COVID. So we found a really nice place to get it married, and we did the actual reception part at our house, the other house in the backyard. It wasn't a very big backyard, but we spent a fortune on getting like it all decorated and with tables and lighting and manicured and like heat lamps. And we had caterers, and we had even had valet in front of our house. We had not a lot of parking at our place. So we had a valet service come doing the whole valet thing.
That's
And
so nice.
yeah, it was pretty cool in the backyard. It was pretty. It was in November, so it was a little chilly,
Chilly.
but not. That's why I had the heat. At the last minute, I said we should get heat lamps out there because I think it'd be kind of cold. So we did that, and that was great. And then because of COVID, otherwise we would have had it at a regular place. But
Yeah.
so that same year before that, we actually took a family road trip to Utah. We stopped through Vegas. And the weird thing about Vegas during the whole 2020 COVID thing was that a lot of the places were closed. It was so weird to see these casinos just shut down. There was Caesar. We stayed at Caesar's Palace, and they were open, but a lot of the tables were closed. A lot of the machines were closed. The pool. All the kids want to go to the pool. The pool had this weird rule where you had to like they shut it down for like 2 hours a day for cleaning or some weird thing. So it was only open on certain hours. You had to get in line to get out there. It was so weird. So we did the pool thing there. The kids loved it. And we drove up to Zion National Park. We stayed in a Airbnb. It was a super cute little townhome. We stayed there. Did hiking. We hiked the shallows. If you know what the shallows, it's like where the water and you're like in the cliffs, like the rock cliffs. Like rocks. They're kind of like limestone looking cliffs, and they have the water levels up to your waist high or whatever. You walk the trail up the river there. We did with the water shoes and the walking sticks and all that. We walked this. We didn't go that far. I got to where it got to like I want to go to my waist. I kind of like my keys, my wallet, my pockets. I don't go that high.
Yeah.
So I went to like right to my knees, whatever, up there, and we were in there, and there was so much fun doing that.
Was it just the three of you or all four of you?
Five of
Five
us.
of you.
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel
Yeah.
came too.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, we did that. And it's funny. Every year since then, we've done a family vacation, a big family vacation, and they've only gotten bigger and bigger after year. So the very next year, in 2021, we went to Bass Lake in Yosemite National Park, and we went up there. We rented in a cabin. It was kind of a cabin near Bass Lake, and our parents were there too. They have a boat and everything, and we took us around the boat. We did the boat thing where like the kids were laying on that pole, like inflatable pole thing, and the boat's pulling the kids in the water, and kind of thing. They did that, and we did we rented a big what do you call it? It's like a flat boat, like a pontoon boat, where it's like all flat, but it's got the two like buoys on the side. It's got a motor. It's got a boat. It's a flat boat.
Oh, I know what you're called. I can't think of what it's called either, but I know exactly what you're talking
We
about.
rented one of those. The lake they rent boats, and I'm thinking like it wasn't very much to rent. I'm thinking like it's so much easier just to rent a boat there than just to buy one and bring it there and have a place to store it and everything. Because I thought like I'll be cool, I'll buy a boat, but yeah, we just rented it there. I think it was like $500 for the day to rent the thing. And we got a thing like all day. We could jump off the side, had like a little ladder, jump off, climb in, and it had a barbecue like on the thing, like a small little bar. Yeah, it was a gas grill.
Wow.
Got chicken. We grilled on the thing, and we had it was a great time in the lake. We didn't do any fishing. We did some fishing. We didn't catch nothing, and we also rented one of those like pole toys thing. So we're driving the boat around, pulling the kids around on the inflatable thing in the water. They're having a blast on Bass Lake. And that's not that far from Yosemite. So did one day, went to Yosemite. We saw a couple bears in the wild that were there. We saw a deer in the wild. Deer is right there, and we saw Yosemite Falls. And this is all during, again, 2021, so right after COVID. So we were there for all that stuff. That was fun. And then the next year, 2022, we were supposed to go on a cruise, but then I think there was issues with vaccination statuses, and did he need one? Did he not need one? It was working. It was going back and forth, and eventually we ended up canceling the cruise. But then I'm thinking we already have our plane tickets to Miami, and I'm like, okay, Miami's fun and all, but I'm thinking like, what are the kids going to like to do in Miami? I don't know. Then I thought, wait a second, how far away is Disney World? It's like, I don't know. Let's figure it out. It's like, we'll figure it out. And I said, let's go to Disney World. Let's do that. Let's do Disney World. And so changing our trip from cruise down the Bahamas to Disney World, we pivoted, went to Disney World, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. We did the whole thing, and we did 5 days, 4 different parks, 5 days. We did Magic Kingdom twice, and that was so much fun. Road trip from Miami up there, and
You went 5 days in a row to Disney parks?
Disney World. Yeah. Yeah.
So I haven't been since I was a child, but like
Okay.
your kids they must have all been so excited.
Of
That
course.
sounds amazing.
It was incredible. And we stayed one day in Miami. So while we were in Miami, we went down to the Florida Everglades. And then we were down in the Florida Everglades. I got heat stroke because humidity in the East Coast is different, especially Florida. It kicks your butt. Because I thought like, oh, 90 degrees. I 90 degrees today. I could handle 90 degrees. And then
No, it's like you can touch the air there. It's so
right.
thick, especially in the swamp. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it gave me a headache, and I was like nauseous pretty much. And I was like, oh my god, that day I was miserable. So that same night, we went downtown Miami, had dinner, and we checked out a few things. And I think the next day we road tripped it up to Orlando for the Disney park. I think the first day we got there, we were able to go into the park. I think the first day we got there, went to the park, and then we had a hotel that was off. We didn't stay on the Disney property. We stayed like an off the area property, but it was like Disneyed out. It's like they had a Mickey Mouse character in the lobby and things.
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say I can't imagine that anything in the like vicinity of Disney is not Disneyed out.
Right. So, and it was a nice place. We stayed there, and it was really cool because they had a big giant pool party one of the nights we were there, with a big movie projector screen on like this projector that brought down from our balcony. The pool was there, and the pool was kind of cool because they had like an indoor section, an outdoor section. They had like a kiddie section with like a slide, well, not slide, they had like the water squirt gun things and all that kind of stuff. So one night they having a pool party, and the kids were down there talking to girls, thought they were super cool, and they were just having a blast, and they were like getting crazy. I didn't go down there. I was busy like taking all the footage from the Disney trips, and I was making like YouTube videos out of it and things like that up in the room, or sharing them on my computer and stuff, like clips and stuff and like that. And so I we went the entire week there, and then we drove back down to Miami and caught a flight back. That was 2022. So 2023, like, what are we gonna do that's bigger than that? Like, what are we gonna do that's so
Bigger
great?
than 5 days at Disney World.
And plus Miami too. So,
yeah.
So the next trip we did was we decided to take the kids to Hawaii. So in 2023, we took the kids to Hawaii for the week, and we flew them out of here. And oh, look, the little one.
Someone's awake. Do you want to say hi?
No.
No,
I
there's
don't
no
want to say hi either.
meow.
That's fine. That's fine. So we took them to Hawaii, and they had absolutely the best time ever. We did all the Hawaii stuff, and it was so much fun, and it was so great because we were going to get married there in the first place. That was the original plan, was to get married there. So why not take the kids to Hawaii? Take the kids to the place we're going to hang out at and see. And they absolutely loved it. We did the beach, we did luau, we did all the typical stuff you do in Hawaii, and kids absolutely loved it. Oh, you're
Oh,
okay. You're muted. Yeah. Um.
yeah. I muted just because someone's getting a little upset.
Oh. Oh.
Waking up is hard to do,
What do you mean? In
just
general?
in general. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. So we
Yeah.
did that, and then last year we went to New York City. Speaking of New York, last year, oh, this year went to New York City. But also, Christina and I went to New York City, and I also had an extra week of vacation, so we took a random trip back to Hawaii this year also. So we went to
Just the two of you, or
just
did
the
you
two,
bring all the
yeah,
kids?
just the two of us for the last trip to Hawaii. We went to Hawaii, and we flew first class out there, and it was an experience. Well, actually, we had upgraded seats to first class. It wasn't like we paid first class. You pay regular ticket.
Whatever. Like that's so
Oh
cool.
my gosh, like having like real utensils and like real like stuff, like food, and the actual like giving you drinks before we were first went on the plane. They start giving us real drinks, anything you want to drink for free, and they have the menu. And I'm like, Mai Tais and whatever. I was like literally
Yeah.
ready
I
to
don't
pass out.
drink, but I would be like, let's get drunk.
I don't drink much either. That's surprised I'm such a lightweight. So I only had like one drink, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to pass out on the flight before you get there. And the cool thing about first class is the seats, like those ones, lay all the way down, like your feet go all the way back, your head goes all the way back, and you can just like make a little cocoon bed. Yeah, totally. And so we did
How
that.
long is that flight for you?
That's 6 hours.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Right. But we flew back home like regular seats. It wasn't, but whatever. But Hawaiian Airlines, the seats are pretty nice in Hawaiian. Even you get the regular seats are pretty nice. So it's not like it's a bad thing. But the first class one, oh my gosh, that's next level. And
Yeah.
um, so we went to Hawaii. And then the last trip, we just got back a little while ago, but I was going from New York back to San Diego for like 1 or 2 weeks, and then back out to Hawaii. That's how it went. And and we were there. We didn't do a lot of the typical things. We were going to the same spot we've been before. So we've already done the luau thing. Great. So the only thing we really did on that trip, like we had planned, was we went on a cruise, like on a cruise, like we call it, like a dinner cruise. And we did a dinner cruise, harbor sunset dinner cruise, saw fireworks and things like that from the harbor.
So
And then
you're like sitting eating on the boat, and then like above you, you're seeing
well,
fireworks and stuff.
no, it's like a big giant boat. Like it's like a 4 level boat. This boat was massive, like
Oh,
4 levels
wow.
with like a dining hall on each level. And so you have your assigned seating, and the waiter, like I think it was buffet style, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was. So you go in and get your food, sit down, and kind of stuff. And and then at like 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whenever it was, everybody, good to the side. It's fun. Everybody get to the one side to see the fireworks. The fireworks are like on the shore side, right? And we're out on the bay in the water, and the boat gets so big and massive, it literally was leaning in the water, like because everybody was on that side of the ship watching the fireworks.
Trying to see the fireworks. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
we're like this. It was so funny, but so that's what we did. And we did a photo shoot, personal photo shoot. We did the two of us. We were in Hawaii, and I wanted to check out the submarine, but she didn't want to go on the submarine because she's claustrophobic. So I paid to do the submarine by myself, and it was unbelievable. Because they take in a real submarine down to the bottom of the ocean, and you get to see shipwrecks, and you get to see all kinds of cool stuff down there.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah. So I
Is-
had
Do you have to wear like a snorkel or something, or do
no,
you
no,
just,
no, no. And
it's like a cave?
no, it's like a submarine, like actual submarine.
Like a little, like the thing that got lost a couple years ago?
Yes, that's why everyone's like, yes, yes. So
Cool.
So it was like that, but it wasn't. But it reminded me of the submarine at Disney World or Disneyland. If you ever been to Disney parks, the Disney and the submarine ride, it's very similar to that. Like everybody walks in on one side, and the porthole windows are. Everybody sits in front. Everybody sits in front of a porthole window, and on both sides of the submarine, but it actually goes underwater. It actually goes down.
That's so cool though. Oh my
Uh,
gosh. That
I was
sounds
really
so
good.
awesome.
Well, I took video. I have it on my social media, I think, and that kind of stuff. And it was I think 100 because they have a little meter tells you what the how depth you're at. We were at 105 feet. I think was the lowest we went to, and
105 feet under the water.
under the ocean.
That's so cool.
And
Oh man.
it was really clear what day that I went to because they told us like yesterday wasn't as the water wasn't as clear, and today the water was super clear. So that's great. So they have these shipwrecks they put down there for you to like check out and different things and these metal structures to like help coral like make reefs or something like that and things like that and like diving areas and things like that. So they have this like path. The submarine goes to the bottom, but like goes on this little path where all these like cool things they have down there you can check out. So it was so surreal seeing planes. They had a bunch of planes, airplane wrecks down there, and
Oh, in the water.
yeah,
That's so fucking cool.
it's
That is
real.
so cool.
It's real stuff. It's not like it's like the Disneyland one where it's like it's kind of cool, but it's all fake. It's all like fake stuff. But this is actually real stuff, which is super cool. And like it's just weird being in knowing that like now you're under the bottom of the ocean. Like there's no you open this door, there's no like what I mean. It's not like you can just get out or whatever.
Yeah. Then you're like in the ocean, and then you're in
Well, yeah.
under 105 feet below in the
Yeah.
ocean too,
Yeah,
which
so
is
that was
crazy.
that's pretty cool. So that was our last trip. We just got back I think 2 months ago. We just got back. So um that's it for vacation. My birthday's coming up soon, and I think we're trying to figure out what to do for that vacation wise. But
How do you guys navigate like having that conversation? Do you guys talk about it as a family of five? Is it kind of just
no,
you
we
and Christine
actually
talking about it?
we spring the vacation on them for Christmas for their Christmas present. So we usually do a scavenger hunt. We did a scavenger hunt last couple of years, but they kind of ruined it. They kind of got over it. So we have these little clues around the house and like scavenger hunt to the next clue. And like at the very end, they have to like piece it together and stuff. I think they kind of got so excited, like running. I think they found the third clue without going to the first clue or something. They're just like, I'll run stuff around. But that's how we did the first for the Hawaii trip. I videotaped them. It's on my YouTube, one of my YouTubes, and I got them falling around, finding the clues, get all excited, this clue, that clue, this clue. And then they go to the final clue spot. And I think we had balloons, and thinking the balloons were the clues. Had to pop all the balloons and piece all the clues together. And they're like figuring out, we're going to Hawaii. And they're like jumping up and down, all excited. Yes, we're going to Hawaii. All
That
excited.
is so cool. I would have never thought of a like scavenger hunt as a way of getting the gift. Like I feel like that would typically it would be like a in my family, it would be like a box, and then inside the box it says you're going to Hawaii, and that's like the
Well,
gift.
yeah. So that's what we
But
did with that. But at the last time we did the New York one, kind of same thing happened. I think because they're going to New York, and they're excited to go to New York too. But I think they're more excited to go to Hawaii, and I think about it than go to New York City. But yeah, we spent a week in New York City, did all the typical New York City stuff, the all the typical stuff you do. We bought these passes. I think they're like city something passes, but they were each pass had like everything you can do in New York City
yeah,
from
so you're going to like Empire State Building. You're
right.
doing like, did you do like Alcatraz or whatever? Is it Alcatraz?
No, Statue of Liberty.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Something that you go on a boat.
Yes, it was Statue of Liberty. We did that, which was really fun. And we did
And from right outside of New York City, and I did not.
yeah, well, we did. You're thinking of like Ellis Island, I think. You're probably thinking
That's
of.
exactly what I'm thinking of. Thank you.
We didn't go to that one. We just like saw it from the Statue of Liberty. Because we went on top of the Statue of Liberty to where like the and Christine and I did it too. What's funny about this whole summer and vacations is
I've
that
never done that.
oh really? It's
Never.
well, we didn't go to the very, very top. We went to like the
No,
pedestal.
you go to, yeah, like where you can, and they let you like look out too, right?
Right. There's like a path that walks all the way around the
Yeah.
perimeter, and you can like look out and all that kind of. That's where we were at. But what's funny is that Christine and I did this exact same trip, but in reverse last year. Last year, 2023, we went to Hawaii with the kids, and then with her and I went to New York City, two of us. And then this year we went to New York City with the kids, and Hawaii, the two of us. So
I feel like that's great for getting both at like both versions of it because like things are so fun with your kids. We
oh yeah.
travel with our kid all the time. Like it's great, it's phenomenal, but there's also something so nice of like just getting to be with your partner and like be on vacation, especially
Oh
at the
yeah.
beach.
Oh yeah, totally. We were just like that. That's the thing. When we were in Hawaii, the two of us recently, it was more like, well, what do you want to do today? I don't know. It's just kind of figure something out. We did a lot of driving around on the other side of the island, the non like tourist side of the island, more like North Shore. Because on the other side of the island, if you've been to Hawaii,
No,
okay.
I had
Well,
to think about that.
in Waikiki, where we stayed in Honolulu, it's very, very much like New York City. It's all like busy and bustle and buildings. And the locals call it like LA because there's traffic and it's just nuts down there. That's where we were staying at. But we go to the countryside. The other side's like all country, two-lane roads, farms and land and horses and that kind of stuff and locals. And that's where we spend more time out that way. got me thinking that maybe the next time we go, we'll probably try to stay over there, find a place over there versus staying in the middle of the hustle and bustle at all. Which I think is fine. But so we still did that, and a lot of driving around, a lot of that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of like, let's see what we can find out today.
Yeah. So how do you guys come up with these plans? How do you like decide that's where we're going?
Well,
You give it to them as gifts sometimes, but like,
yeah,
do
but
you ever include them in that conversation, or like, how do you
no.
and Christine decide that?
Well, the kids stuff, we try to figure out like what we think the kids would like, and we know Jacob, our oldest, or my oldest, was going to go on a class trip to the East Coast for the school was going to do this class trip thing to New York and Washington D.C. or something. I've done that trip, but the trip was so expensive this year, and then they wanted all the money like up front. And it was like so like you know what, forget that. And we're trying to split the cost with my ex-wife, and she's kind of flaky, so she was like, I don't know, no, no, no. And it's like we asked Jacob, and now and then we thought like maybe maybe we'll do it. And then we kind of hinted the idea, maybe we do it as a family, and he's like, yeah, I like that idea too. He didn't tell me we were going yet. And that's when he told me we were going later. But I think I'm with the idea of trying to figure out places that I feel safe taking the kids to. And I know some people feel very safe taking the kids out of the country. I don't. Probably because I watch a lot of those like locked up abroad shows and different countries, different laws, different things you think are normal here, and the kids can act up and things like that. And you don't, and next thing you know, they're in a whatever prison, or whatever, and things like that. So, and getting them out with the customs and all, it's just traveling abroad is, some people
It's a
love
whole
travel.
nother animal.
It is a whole nother animal. And Christine told me when she went to through London a few times, and she says the airport there, it's like five security checkpoints you have to go through just to get on the get to the gateway. I'm like, my gosh, you would hate it. It's like, it gives me anxiety thinking about it, and all that. So that's why I feel more comfortable keeping everybody in the United States. And I think we've done a lot of the big ones in the United States already. I've told Christine, it's like we've done all the big stuff already. Like I'm thinking like, what is there really to do in the United States that we haven't done yet? That's something the kids would like. That's like I'm thinking. I think of like that. I think of like a big like a big place, a big more popular destination. You
Of
know,
course, of course. Yeah, you're thinking like big New York City. You're thinking a national park, a like something. There's going to be activities for the kids to
and
do.
I tell, hey, we're going to Birmingham, Alabama. And they're like, what the hell for? you know, so
What the hell for?
like yeah, like why would we go there? Like there's nothing to do there. So so when I do pick out these places, I have to think of like what would entertain the kids, what would keep them interested in going, what would make them want to go for some reason. I can't just say we're going there because I don't know. So we've already done a lot of different things, and I'm thinking like I don't know where we go from. It's like when you go to, it's like when you're at work, you hit the ceiling, and like, where do you go from here? Kind of a thing.
Yeah, 100%. Like this is all I can do. I guess we got to try something new. I feel like I want to offer a place that I can think of that would be so cool. Have you been to the big, like that big mall, the Great Mall of America or
That was an
whatever?
idea. We thought about. That's something we did think about that. That's one thing we thought about. It's in Minnesota, I think, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's an idea. We did think about. That's an idea. We thought about that. Um, what else we were thinking about something? I forget what it
I
was.
also feel like because you have two boys who are into sports, technically three boys,
Yeah,
like
they're all sports. Yeah,
yeah, so like we are going to Ohio and we're talking about like, oh, we can go see a baseball game. Like we can go like that no matter what state you go to, you can go to a freaking football field or a baseball field. Like
right.
I
That's
feel
that's
like that's
funny.
great.
It's funny you say that. When we were in New York, we saw a Mets versus Yankees baseball game in Met Stadium. We caught this called the Subway Series. We caught it there. We were there this summer.
I think I need to know what day you were there because we were also
At the
there.
same game.
I think so because we were at a
Well,
Mets
that photo,
Yankees game.
that photo I sent you was from us being there. Whatever day that
Huh.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta look it up because we literally that was one of our things with we took Poppy to a baseball game and we like, you know, I don't remember what the day was, but it was great.
Yeah, we try to do as much as we can with the kids when we're in a certain area like town. That's why we did so much going on in New York. We did pretty much everything you can do in New York City. We did, and there were some things we didn't do. Like our pass had stuff for other things we can do. But the passes, I think they were about. I don't think they were cheap. I think they were like $400 a person for the pass. But literally, they had
It
like
gets you into everything.
right, like except for baseball games, of course, but like all the big things you can see and do in New York City or around New York City. Oh, even Coney Island. We took the kids to Coney Island, and we went down there. And oh, I got to tell you this story. So we're down there at Coney Island. You could take the subway all the way down there. You know, end of the line from Times Square, end of the line all the way to Coney Island. Took the subway, and we go down there and we get our tickets. We had because part of that pass gave you like some ride tickets or something included. It like the pass was like an ultimate pass. Had everything going to New York City, covered it all. So we go down there and we go. Have you ever been to Coney Island?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So we go in there. There's like a couple there's like a couple of theme parks side by side. I didn't know. I thought they're all one thing, but I guess there's two different companies or three different companies down there. So we go down there and the kids are all excited to get the wristbands and all that stuff. And I'm kind of like, dude, Christine didn't want to ride enough. She want to sit down. And I'm like, I'm like trying to think of like watching the kids, make sure they get in trouble. So I'm trying to follow them around. And so they're excited to ride this ride. And they get in line for this ride. There's nobody. I had not seen this ride like in action. So I had no idea what it does. But the kids want to get on it. And I'm like, okay. So the ride looks like the ride at Disneyland, where it's got this carved thing you sit in and a gimbal that kind of comes up and like it spins around like in a circle, like the Dumbo ride at Disneyland. And I thought, I can handle that. I can handle that. So, but I hadn't seen this ride in action yet. So I have no idea what it does. So so we get in the ride and then I'll sit down. I think I'm sitting down in the car, or whatever it was. It's like an airplane looking thing. And then they put like the harness, like lock you in and lock you in and lock you in. And I'm like, oh
Why
my
do
God.
I need this?
Right. Right. I had no idea. And then they had malfunction with the ride. Like, oh, it's not working. The button's not working right or whatever. Okay. I went off. No. And then Ezekiel's like, come on, Chris, ride with us. Stay on, ride with us. Okay, whatever. The ride gets up in the air and then starts doing upside down loops like nonstop the entire time. And I almost threw up right there on the ride. Like I almost vomited right there on the ride while it was going on. And then most of the rest of the day I was dizzy and so out of it and just so like I don't feel well. And it was horrible. But I did ride that Cyclone. I wanted to ride Cyclone, the wooden roller coaster.
That's like one of the oldest wooden roller coasters, especially that's like still up and running.
Right. But fun fact, though, I thought Cyclone was older than the one we have here in San Diego at Belmont Park. We have the Giant Dipper roller coaster. And I thought that Cyclone was older, but turns out that the Giant Dipper is older by about 5 to 10 years older than your Cyclone. But very similar. Cyclone was actually faster and scarier than Giant Dipper is smaller, I think. But I love Cyclone. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was great. I thought I was going to die. It was a great sign of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna fly off the tracks. I feel like it's a good sign of a roller coaster. But we did
that's such a wild roller coaster because you can like feel the jiggling and you're like,
right. Well,
it'll just take one match to take this whole thing down.
Well, the same thing with it too. It does rattle around quite a bit. When you go down the drop, it's just like that car, like feel like it's bouncing on the tracks, like rattling on the tracks as it goes by. But they do kind of the same thing. And yeah, it was a great experience. And that's how we travel with the kids. And like I said, next year, 2025, I don't know what we're gonna do. I think we have a few ideas. I think I can't say anything yet because it's a surprise. But we have some things in the works for next year.
And I will tell you, Mason, your youngest, right? He always listens to this podcast. So don't say anything. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't know. He's a big YouTuber now. So I don't know. He's actually, he has his own YouTube channel. He's got his YouTube channel hacked shut down a few times because he's underage, but he had like 1,500 subscribers to his YouTube channel.
Okay. Tag him here. Tell us what his name is. Let's follow him.
Yeah. So he loves doing that kind of stuff.
Okay. So it sounds like you've gone just about everywhere, but if anybody can think of a place for you and your family to go in 2025, I'll just send me a message. We'll get it to you, or I'll link you in everything so that people can reach directly out to you.
Great.
And I'm also going to link your show because I think people should be able to find you. Is there anything else that you want to let quote unquote the fans know?
Well, the fans know. Listen, if you're trying to start a podcast or do podcasting, my podcast, Podtastic Audio, was designed to help people like figure out podcasting that are newbies to podcasting and figure it all out.
Someone like me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the show is designed for, because because when Christine and I were doing the show, we had people asking me, like messaging me, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you just, and that's like my idea thing. Like, well, let me just make instead of like trying to like, coach everybody one-on-one, why don't I just like make another podcast and put it out there as a companion show to like, this is kind of like the behind the scenes, how we've done it. It may not be the best way, but maybe I can help you out. And that's kind of how that's how Podtastic Audio started.
And it's something that I have actually used. And I think it's such a phenomenal resource. I think you and I want to say Jenna something Kutcher, maybe is her name, was another person that I was like looking into, and she just didn't feel as knowledgeable.
Oh, really?
Or more like not knowledgeable, but more like I'm in it, I'm doing it, this is what's happening. So I enjoyed using it. I think exactly like I said, I will tag it here, right here somewhere. So it's super helpful for anybody who's interested in starting a podcast. If you want to be like me or Chris,
Thank you.
it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing about your family. And I just want to like truly say thank you. It seems a little bit surreal to be talking to you. So it's very cool and to like learn about your family more.
Well, thank you. It's surreal to be talking to you too. So it's quite amazing. And I have listened to your show and it's quite amazing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. That like literally feels unreal. So
yeah, I love your voice. I love your voice, by the way. I should tell you that. I was listening to the podcast, I was hearing your voice. I'm like, she's got actually a good voice for this kind of stuff. Like her voice sounds like something that,
people could listen to as they're falling asleep.
Right. Because the first episode I listened to, I was like, which one are you? Because I didn't hear an introduction. I heard two voices on the show, and I'm like, I think she's one of the better sounding voice. Right.
And you were right. Yep, that's me.
Yeah.
But again, I will tag everything here, and I appreciate you so much for sitting down with me. This is so cool, like a little bit like a dream come true. So thank you, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. I will. She's still upset. I don't know what she's doing. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. For those of you who love Momatic Adventures and just can't get enough, please head over to our Patreon. If you contribute, you can join in and be a part of our nomadic parenting community, as well as get some behind the scene content. And if you don't want any of that extra stuff, you can actually just click the support the show link in the info of this episode, and you can support the show for as little as $3. Any little bit helps us keep going. I do this entire podcast for the most part on my own. I am the editor, I am the scheduler, I am the planner, the interviewer, the marketing manager, and the all-around hat wearer. And truly, any support helps. And if you support us this week, next week, we will give you a shout out, a thank you directly to you on the episode, just, saying thanks so much for supporting us. And if you're like, hey, I would love to support, but I don't really have the money, or I don't want to give my money to you guys, that's totally cool too. There are so many other ways to support. You can head to Instagram, Threads, YouTube, all the social medias. We're under Momatic Adventure Pod. If you have an idea for the show, if you think you know somebody who would be a great guest, or if you just have a question or like want to talk to me, you can send me a text. The info for that is also in the info of this episode. So there's links there for you to support the show, to text us, to follow our socials, blah, 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 blah. Come, hold my hand. Let's go on an adventure.